Greetings and salutations, my name is JW608, and today I'm going through my sketchbook for Inktober 2016. I participated in Inktober, and for those of you who are unfamiliar, Inktober is a challenge to make an ink drawing every day in the day of October. It was started by one Jake Parker, and he had a list of prompts on his website, so I went ahead and went with the prompts. Except for this first page, and I'd like to go through my sketchbook and just show you what I did. I learned an awful lot, and I had fun doing it. Alright, this first page, this isn't part of Inktober's, I just doodled, because it's a practice I have. I just sort of do silly little doodles on the first page of any new sketchbook, unless it has a particular purpose. Anyway, but so I don't feel like I'm going to ruin it, because the first page already has sort of a pirate hand and a horrible little dog and a man on an island. So if I do something horrible in the later pages, I don't feel like I've ruined this perfect sketchbook. Alright, the first day. For most of these, I used traditional dip pen. I like the dip pen, except for the first one. I'll go over my materials afterwards, for those of you who care. But my first I did with a dollar store pen, and the prompt was fast. Oh, and there's some horrible doodles on the backside if you want to see those. Probably don't. Probably don't want to see this one. Okay. But fast. So I did a Sonic the Hedgehog drawing. Did this with just a little dollar store pen because I was on the road, and I grabbed my sketchbook and grabbed a pen, and I did this while I was traveling. Alright. Next up, this was Noisy. I did this one with a dip pen. Actually, I think I know all of these others were done with actual ink, actual bottles of ink. And I tried out a few different techniques and a few different bottles of ink. This one was Noisy, was the prompt. This one I think is my favorite, and I did it at the bottom of the page, so I couldn't record it very easily. This was Capture. Capture or Collect? To collect. And I just really like that one. Maybe the camera will decide to focus on it. I think that's my favorite of all my Inktober drawings. Alright. Then we did Hungry, and I did a little monster there eating a city. Let me move that so I can maneuver my book a little easier. There we go. For those wondering, that's just a bit of a pool noodle. I hollowed out the end and cut off a bit and stuck my ink bottle in it after I overturned another one, so it doesn't tip as easy. Just I guess a art hack. Alright, Hungry. Next up, we have Sad. And I tried something new. I got inspiration from a YouTuber called Mary Doodles. I recommend you go check her out. She does lots of watercolor and ink paintings, and she used the ink sort of as a watercolor. So I dabbed some water on under these eyes and just filled my pen with ink and just kind of touched it and maneuvered the page so it looks like they're crying. Well, that was the effect I go for. The eyes are crying. But that was Sad. Here you're thinking, yeah, this art's sad. I like this one. This was Hiding. Hiding was the prompt for today. I have too much junk on my desk to maneuver my book here. Alright. Hiding. I think that was the first time I've ever drawn camo. Here was Lost. And again, this was another experiment. I'd never painted with ink before, so I actually diluted a little and actually got a brush, a horrible little cheap brush I have here on my desk, and I just painted. Well, Little Red there's done in traditional. Let's see, this was Rock, so I made a punk rock. Yeah, I won't wait for laughter. Here we go with Broken. This was day 9. Sad little robot there. And I experimented with hatching, and I used this month not looking to make good art, but looking to practice techniques and try things I haven't done before. Today, day 10 was Jump, so I said, I'm gonna try out this. I'm gonna try to draw a rabbit, try to draw fur using the pen, something I'm not particularly good at. So I said, I'm gonna try that out. Draw a rabbit. Next up was Transport, and I have this strange little dinosaur creature. Don't really know what it is, but the guy's riding it and he's transporting goods. Transportation, something like that was today. this was Worried, and I'd never done a portrait with ink. So I said, hey, why not? Let's try it and let's experiment with some of this shading. So I found a picture of a feller looking worried, and I tried to draw him. Results may vary. I like this one. This one is Scared. Again, I tried painting again with experimenting with a little more cross-hatching. I like the way this one turned out. This one and the butterfly, the collect. I think these two are my favorites out of the bunch. All right, so let's move on today. I believe this is day 14. It was Tree. Now this one was a little different because I didn't start out with the drawing. I actually dunked a paintbrush in ink and just splat it all over the place, and then made a tree out of it. And that was, again, I used this month to experiment with technique and just have fun. And I really liked the way that turned out. Relax was this one. I wasn't as fond as the way this one turned out. I actually smeared his hat. I was erasing some underlying pencil mark and smeared the ink on his hat there, so I said, hey, I'll just do a light background, and yeah, I wasn't real fond of this one. Wasn't happy with it, but I learned from it, so that's what mattered. I think particularly for Inktober, that's what mattered. I learned from it. Tried something new. Today, this prompt was wet. So I drew a lady who doesn't quite know how umbrellas work. I think I like the way that one turned out. Alright. Day 17 was Battle. So I said, oh, Battle. So I went and I found one of my favorite pose resources, Cincy Shock. Go look her up. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description to all these people I mentioned. Excellent models and references, poses like that. So I took one and I altered it a little and had this sort of elf person fighting this orc creature, and I had fun with this one. I enjoyed doing this. And this one, pardon me. Now for day 18. Oh, day 18 was Escape. Escape. So I drew this little lobster creature trying to get out of a pot. Day 19 was Flight. So I said Flight. I could draw an airplane, and I don't draw birds very well, and I don't really have fun drawing birds. So I said, what else can I do? So I went and found a picture of the Wright brothers, and I tried to duplicate it in my own style and playing again with painting with the ink, and I thought that one turned out all right. Squeeze was day 20, and I like this one. I had fun with it as well. Squeeze. Day 21 was Big. Not much to say, just a little girl and her friend, and they're going through a passageway of some sort. I don't know, that was the image that came to my mind when I heard Big, so I tried to replicate. Here's Little. Little was the prompt for day, what are we on, 22, day 22? So I thought Little, an ant, so I drew an ant. And I love ants, love the study of ants. Slow, I believe day 23 was Slow. What's slower than a sloth? Well, Christmas is slower than a sloth. Molasses, slugs are probably slower. But I didn't want to draw any of those. I wanted to draw a sloth. And there's my sloth. Alright. 1 dozen. I know this wasn't original. In fact, I had my Twitter deck set up to show off the Inktober, hashtag Inktober 2016. You go look that up. There's lots of incredible art there. I saw several like this. But my goal wasn't to be original. My goal was to practice my art. Literally. Okay, so that's 1 dozen. And the chef there with his dozen eggs. I didn't actually draw a dozen chickens, but gave the impression of them. Here's Tired. This one was Tired. I didn't have a lot of time this day, so I just threw an owl together. And that was day 25. Day 26 was Box. So I thought, oh, I could draw a cardboard box. And I said, no, that's boring. So I drew a boxer boxing. Okay. I guess I could have put boxers on them, and anyway. Boxer boxing. It was day 26. Creepy is day 27. And what's creepier than a happy clown? I'm not sure. Alright, we're gonna move on to day 28. This was Burn, but if you recall, October 28th was when the Skyrim Special Edition released, so I thought, hey, I want to draw a Dovahkiin. So I drew a Dovahkiin. Burn, dragons, all kind of works. This is the second piece of fan art I did, other than the Sonic. I just had a hankering to draw something Skyrim related, because I was waiting for the download, and actually I was waiting for the install. I had already downloaded, so I went ahead and drew a Dovahkiin. Duplicated the poster art. I'm kind of happy with the way it turned out. Alright. Surprise was day 29. Was Surprise, and I enjoyed this one. Not as much as the others, but I found a ninja's surprise. Day 30. Day 30 was Sank. No, it was Wreck. I'm sorry, it was not Sank, it was Wreck. So I drew a picture of the Titanic. Okay. And for the last one, day 31, Friend. We have Frankenstein's monster and the elderly blind man he saw, and I think that was the only true friend he had in, I guess, in the movies. Don't know if he actually had a friend in the book. I read it, but that was years and years ago. So I don't think in the book the old blind man actually played the fiddle. Or talked to the monster very often. But that was a long time ago. Alright, and that was the end of Inktober. Now for materials, I said I'd go over those in the end. I used this mixed media Strathmore mixed media paper with a vellum surface. Sketchbook, I got it down at what was it, Michael's Hobby Lobby, something like that. It was on sale, and I liked the texture. And the paper was thick enough that would hold up against water. Because I figured I wanted to try painting with the ink. And ink, let's talk about the ink. I used a Liquitex ink. It is a acrylic ink. I found I really like this stuff, except I don't like their bottles because they tip easy. And day 2, I tipped the bottle and lost most of this, so I had to go out and get another one. And that's when I put my pool noodle I got at the dollar store for tip proof, and I tipped this one several times, but it didn't fall like that. So if you're using a little ink bottle, I recommend these, and I use this mostly for drawing for my larger lists. This is a, oh good grief, I got that nib in there. There we go. This is a Speedball Hunt Globe nib. I really like that one for drawing. And this is just an El Cheapo Speedball nib holder. And for the finer lines, I use the Hunt EX Fine Speedball nib. Don't know if you can see those real well. They're shiny. Let's see if I can deflect. Those are the two basic nibs. I think I also used a calligraphy nib for this, that, and the other, but those are the two I basically used. And I liked the Liquitex using the Hunt, and I found the Speedball super pigmented acrylic. I found it, I could get it to flow better with the extra fine. For some reason, I think this is a little thicker. I couldn't get it to flow in my extra fine nib as well, but the Speedball stuff did great. So I use this primarily for my extra fine, and this month I was also playing with inks. I went out, got the Liquitex and Speedball. For some, I use this Quill Lines Vintage Intense Black ink. Who knows where I picked that? No, I do know. I picked that up at a Jerry's Artorama. It was on sale, and that was actually my first bottle of ink. I still have some in there. I also used for painting. I used these two for drawing. I think I used this one for drawing something, and this one isn't as dark and a little runnier. but I really like the pigmented acrylic. I found I like those a lot. Alright, but I also had this Higgins Black India ink. Oh, that's undone. Okay, didn't tighten the bottle last time I used it. Apparently, still some in there. I was using this, but for drawing, uh, I'm not sure. I like it doesn't flow right in the nibs when I use it, and also it tends to bleed if it doesn't like the paper, and it did not like this paper. I forgot what I tried to doodle with it, but oh, one of my signatures I forgot and said, oh, I'll just use this. It's handy, and it feathered, and I didn't like the way the ink rested on the paper, but I did like it for painting. Is little nib, and I'm not going to use it primarily for drawing on this paper, so I used it for painting, and I found this little tray. I think it was part of a dollar store sewing kit or something, and I filled it with a little water and dropped ink into it, and would mix it with, this is actually the paintbrush I used. It's a no clue where it came from. It's a horrible little cheap brush, but it did what I needed, so hey, I used it. So I used the Higgins Black ink for some, or for lots of the painting, and I have this Higgins fountain pen ink. I did a little with fountain pens. I don't like the fountain pens quite as much as I do the dip pens, but I have this whole jug, 2.5 fluid ounces of this Higgins ink, and I use that. Remember the tree? Let's see, what day was the tree? It was past the punk rock, wasn't it? It was past the bunny. Tree, yeah, tree. The feather part, the tree part, the leaf part was just straight Higgins fountain penning. Now, the fountain penning's thinner because it needs to run through a fountain pen, and it's also not non-waterproof. Whereas this acrylic or even this Higgins Black India, I'd like to try the Higgins Black Magic to see if that's better. Oh, these are waterproof, so I can put these down, and I can, right now if I wanted, I could take a brush and swipe across, and anything from these other inks will just laugh at it and say, oh, I got wet. With the fountain pen ink will say, oh, water, and it'll start to dissolve and slosh around, and so don't use this for a base of something you're going to put a wash on or paint later. Then I had this little, this was a little Play-Doh, well, fake Play-Doh jug. I just put some rubbing alcohol in it. I need to change the rubbing alcohol because I used it to clean my pens and had a bit of an old t-shirt that I used for mopping up messes and general maintenance and cleaning. And that was my setup, and I had real fun. I'd probably gonna try it again next year. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Just a little different from my standard fare from my channel. Well, I had fun. I'll take you cats later. Let's see if I can stop this. I'll just stop the recording.